I.F.O. by Conway Fitzgerald. Chapter 4. As Cindy turned into Lars' parents' driveway, she wasn't really sure what she was going to say to him. After receiving the cryptic call from Dr. Funderburke at KANM, several thoughts occurred to her. For starters, she didn't even have a field-producing photog she could trust. Second, she figured this might be a way to recapture Lars's interest in true journalism, get him psyched up, and restart their team. But on the way there, she recounted what he said to her in the parking lot. "I need to get out of here and find someone who will love me back." She wasn't prepared to fulfill him in that respect. They had been friends for over 4 years. He was a family friend. Lars knew her ex-husband. He knew her children. He knew what went down, so she expected him to be more sensitive to her situation. Yet despite that, she liked Lars. He was funny, kind, and generous. But she just didn't have the kind of feelings for him that he evidently had for her. Because she herself was rather tall, 5'9" in sneakers, Cindy preferred taller men. Lars was only about 5'8". She was attracted to dark-haired men, brawny guys, with big chests, strong backs, and she was particular about faces, distinguished jawlines. Lars was scrawny. His face, while adorable in some respects, was round and pasty. He was a freckly ginger without any of those aspects she found attractive. He just wasn't her type. Cindy's second thoughts prompted her to restart the car. She looked into the back seat at all the camera gear that she had checked out for him and felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. This was a bad idea, she thought. Why don't I just let him be? Just then, a large SUV pulled into the driveway behind her. It was Lars' mother. She honked and waved at Cindy, so Cindy turned off the ignition and got out to greet her.
"I'm sorry, Helen. Am I in the way?"
she said as the mammoth truck pulled up beside her.
"Oh, no, dear. Not at all,"
said Mrs. Hamlin. As she got out of the car, Cindy noticed she was filling her hands with grocery bags.
"Oh, let me help you with that." "Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Cindy. Are you here to cheer up our little movie producer? I was hoping someone would try and talk some sense into him." "Well, sort of. I was kind of hoping he might change his mind,"
she said, following her into the house apprehensively. She had been there many times before, but usually just to drop Lars off before he owned a car. "You've always been such a good friend to my Lars. He speaks so fondly of you." They entered the house, and Mrs. Hamlin called out to her son, as she had done for so many years. "Lars, there's someone here to see you. And help me bring in the groceries." The television was on, blasting The People's Court. "Honey, why do you leave the television on if you're not watching it?" Lars came down the stairs in his underwear. He was startled when he noticed Cindy was in the house and raced back up the stairs to his room to put some clothes on. "Just a second," he said, rather embarrassed. When he returned, he had put both his pants and his distraught face back on. "What are you doing here?" "Lars, that's no way to talk to Cindy. Where are your manners?" his mother said, disciplining him with her tone. "Mom, please," he said, extending his palm in her direction. "Can we talk?" asked Cindy. "I've got some good news." "Sure. Come on up," he said, motioning towards his room upstairs. Cindy followed him into the room. It was everything she might have expected. Messy, unorganized, a little smelly, and adorned with things that had probably been there since he was 13. Lars scrambled to pick up the dirty pieces of laundry off the floor and tried to make the room appear more presentable. Cindy noticed a Grim Reaper poster on the wall. "Oh, neat. Is this one of those pictures
that glows under a black light?
She pointed to it.
That? I don't know. It's old,
he said, embarrassed. Lars motioned for her to sit in the chair opposite the computer desk. He tried to regain his composure as he sat on his messy bed.
Listen, I'm sorry about this afternoon. I really didn't mean... It's not about that, all right?
Oh, Lars, I know,
said Cindy, a bit relieved that she didn't have to go there.
Don't worry about that. I understand. You want to expand your horizons professionally. I get it. Believe me,
she said with an emphatic smile.
What did they say?
He asked nervously.
What did who say?
Cindy asked, confused by the question.
The people at the station. Wally? Vern? Isn't that why you're here?
He asked, a bit let down that no one seemed fazed by his departure.
Well, everyone was like, yeah, what the heck? Lars is awesome. Where's he going? To work with Dahlia?
She smiled. He didn't smile back.
You're not going to work with Dahlia, are you?
No,
he said emphatically.
I'm done with TV.
Right. That's what I said. But I came by because something came up. And I was hoping you and I could maybe collaborate on it.
She noticed Lars crossed his arms, and his frown returned.
It's something I thought you would be really interested in.
She started speaking faster, hoping she could get in all the words before he said,
No way. I meant what I said about TV news, Cindy. That's over,
Lars said emphatically. Cindy pulled a yellow steno pad from her purse and started deflecting his rejection.
Lars, this isn't TV news. It's for a documentary. A film.
She smiled. Lars looked suspicious.
Oh yeah? So what is it you're documenting?
Cindy had regained his attention. She rifled through the pages of scrawl on her notepad.
The discoveries of Dr. Arnold Funderburke,
she said confidently, like a schoolteacher announcing the title of a book.
What discoveries? Who's Dr. Arnold Funderburke?
Lars uncrossed his arms and leaned back on his mattress.
Well,
she continued flipping through the pages of her notepad, trying to find the page where she had taken her hastily scrawled copious notes, hoping that it might provide a logical answer.
You see, that's the interesting part. The discoveries that he claims are monumental are to remain secret until we document Lars,
she cried out, because she knew she had lost him.
After what just went down, what makes you think I would go on another wild goose chase with you? I've had enough of that bullshit, Sin. I mean, come on. Scientific discoveries? Like what? How to get fossil fuel from pig shit?
That would be something.
Well, I'm not interested in any more pig shit. Or bullshit.
The mood of the conversation had returned to the hostile level they had reached before. She could see now that she had made a mistake. Lars was still very emotional. But she knew she couldn't take on the assignment by herself. The only other available photog, Vern, kinda creeped her out. But she also couldn't continue to torture Lars's feelings. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was just leading him on. Using him.
I'm sorry, Lars,
was all she said as she packed up her notepad. She got up abruptly and then walked out the door. Lars could hear his mother offering for her to stay for dinner as she was leaving. It was just then he realized this might be the last time he ever saw her again, in person. If he did move away and pursue his dream, it would be without her. She would be just a face from a distant phase in his career, in his life. Another daydream that would forever haunt his fragile emotions. Suddenly, he was overcome with feelings of foolishness. looking at the teenaged posters still adorning his wall. When he heard the front door closing, he peered out of his bedroom window. He observed Cindy tearing up as she headed for her car. Lars pulled open the window.
Cindy, wait!
He yelled. She slammed her door shut.
Shit! I'm such an idiot!
Lars said as he hustled down the stairs frantically.
Is everything all right, hon? What's going on?
His mother asked as he ran past her, bursting through the screen door and out towards the driveway. Cindy was reversing when she saw him approaching. She pumped the brakes and cleared her eyes before she rolled down the window.
Lars, you don't have to explain. I get it.
Okay.
He said simply.
Okay? What do you mean, okay?
I mean, okay. I'll do the documentary.
Cindy's face lit up.
And I'll do it for free. On one condition.
Her smile was replaced by a look of confusion.
If this is another cockamamie crackpot, you have got to go to dinner with me.
Her eyebrows were raised.
You mean on a date?
She smirked.
Yeah, a date. A purely social rendezvous.
He proclaimed confidently. She was surprised by the boldness of his proposition, but she didn't feel intimidated. It was an innocent way for her to acknowledge that they did have feelings for each other. The thought of returning all of the gear back to the station before getting her story, explaining everything to Wally, also weighed heavily on her mind. All in all, she was just happy to have Lars back on her team. She wasn't alone, after all, even though she felt he was probably right, and they were headed on another wild goose chase with a crackpot. She extended her right hand for a shake.
Okay, deal,
she said with a smile.
Can you meet me at the Oasis tonight? The appointment is early in the morning, and it's only a few miles from my place. You can crash there if you want. On the couch.
She smiled again.
Deal,
he said, with a big smile of his own. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss an episode. Be sure to smash that like button and comment below. It helps a lot. If you'd like to help me get this book published, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. And as always, be sure to share this story with all of your friends on your favorite social media.